Hey everybody, my name's Wes.
And I'm Matt.
And Matt, today we're talking websites. We're talking Church Connect.
We're talking Church Connect, church websites, church apps, church member portals.
Oh man, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
But before we dive into a lot, let's first, just a couple things I want you all to be aware of. Number one, our YouTube channel. Matt, tell them about the YouTube channel.
So we have a channel with, it says, over 295 videos. I'm actually dropping a link into the chat for that right now. Go ahead and click on that link. And speaking of chat, go ahead and click on the little icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen on your computer and open up the chat and let us know your name, your church's name and location, and see all the resources that I'm going to be dropping in there as we go along. I'll keep an eye on chat, but check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe there to stay up to date on everything that we're doing with our YouTube channel.
And another great resource is our Facebook group. So if you're like me, you like to talk to other people. That's why they make me do this thing where we talk to people. But that's such a great resource just because it gives you the chance to talk to other ChurchTrac users just like yourself. Highly recommend it. Check out our Facebook group. And then last but not least, when it comes to just a solid resource to help you get the most out of ChurchTrac, that help button in the top right corner of the screen, all you have to do is click it, and there you can go to directly ask us a question. You can actually reach out to our team, ask us a question, or you can just go to our online user guide, and we have everything laid out in a really easy way. You can browse all help topics. Maybe you want to just start diving through Church Connect, and we've got all these articles to help you out as you navigate through there. So definitely recommend it. All right, so Matt, we have a lot of stuff to cover.
We have a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to be moving pretty fast.
We're going to be moving crazy fast. And the whole point we did this live stream in this way of having 3 this week instead of just one monster one is we wanted it to make it way more interactive than they typically are. And so that's why we had the chat wide open so we can talk to you. And so I encourage all of y'all, ask questions as we go along. Matt's going to be monitoring the chat to answer that. And also, we're going to be looking at some of your websites today in real time. So if you want us to look at your website, go ahead, start sending us your website. So send in your URL and say, yes, I want you to look at my website. If you're really daring today, and you want us to roast your website, say, hey, roast my website, and we'll roast it and we'll have some fun with it.
Because we'll be doing that live in this workshop.
Yes.
So if you share your website, your Church Connect page, I'll have Wes pull up a few of them. We'll use them as examples. We'll give you pointers and give you some advice on how to take it to the next level. We might use it as a cautionary tale, depending on depending on what it looks like.
If you tell us to roast it, then we will roast it. But if not, then we're going to keep it very tame. But we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the initial setup of Church Connect, just really how to get things set up properly. We're going to talk about building out your Church Connect, your church website. We're going to talk about managing your Church Connect because it's one of those things, Matt, it's a website. We can't just like post it out there and let it sit there and not ever do anything else again to it. Like we got to keep it, updated and stuff. So we'll talk about that and then share some really great pro tips that I think you're going to really appreciate that will just help you have your Church Connect to the next level, to infinity and beyond, as my friend Buzz Lightyear always says. All right, well, let's have some fun. I'm diving in. I'm going to start sharing my screen, logging into my account here. And those of you who decide to stay later for the Q&A and also as we go through your websites and stuff, I'll even do a fun little giveaway. I'm going to give away a Yeti cup just for fun, a little official ChurchTrac swag Yeti cup. So we'll do that. All right, so nice. Let's talk about the initial setup of Church Connect. That's the first thing. So we go to log into our ChurchTrac account, and then you go to the Church Connect screen. This is where all this lives. The first thing is, Matt, what?
So the first thing to do is go to the Page Setup tab. This is where you can find your subdomain. You'll find it there. Wes, go ahead and zoom in just to make sure that they can see that.
Yeah.
So if you haven't customized your domain, you'll see here that it's just a random series of letters and numbers .churchtrac.com. And I don't know about you, Wes, but I personally have a hard time remembering 1FA4B1D2.churchtrac.com.
You can't remember that? That's so easy.
Is that your church's name?
No.
If it is, then I could remember it. But if not, you need to customize that. So click on the Customize Your Link Now button above that domain section and just type in whatever keyword you want to use. You can use your church's name, the acronym or initials, whatever makes sense to have as your church's domain.
So Example Church is what I'm going to use for this one. And so
perfect.
Choose Example Church. And we definitely, you don't want to like just randomly pick something. Definitely pick it, stick with it, because you're kind of stuck with it. Obviously, our support team can change it in the future if needed, but you don't want to go down that road. So that's like step one, is customizing that out. And part of the reason you want to customize that out too is just because when you start sending emails to people with ChurchTrac and other things, like it's going to show that subdomain. But we don't want to stop with just subdomain. We got to talk about actual custom domain.
Yes, because you can have your own domain, especially if you've purchased it from a domain registrar. You can link that with ChurchTrac. And the way to do that is by clicking the Actions button in the top right-hand corner, and then select the domain setup option in that drop-down menu. And this is where we'll have some paragraphs. Go ahead and make sure you read those. But at the bottom, there's a couple buttons where you either can purchase a new domain or you want to use a domain name you already own.
Yeah.
So just click on one of those buttons, whichever one fits your situation, and then follow the prompts. We walk you through step by step how to link your current domain that you own into ChurchTrac, and that will direct everyone that goes to that link to your Church Connect page.
Yeah, and that's it'll prompt you to go exactly where you need to go. Obviously, we're not going to cover all that ad nauseum today, just because that process is really dependent on your church and everything. But that's kind of like step one of initial setup. I do recommend, just to kind of throw this out there, Cloudflare. I always keep calling it the wrong thing. That's the one we recommend to churches who haven't already purchased a domain to just go ahead and purchase it from them, just because they make it super easy to get everything transferred into ChurchTrac. So that way it's very quick and easy to set up your website and have it point and everything properly that way. If you don't already own a domain, you have to purchase a domain from a registrar. Like GoDaddy is obviously a popular one, though I don't recommend them. It's usually about $20 a year. So if you haven't already purchased a custom domain, you'll want to go purchase it, and that way you can then connect it with Church Connect. All right, so now that we've gotten the URL part out of the way, I want to talk about brand real fast, Matt, because the other thing before we can really start building our website is you just need to make sure you've got a solid logo and color scheme and stuff for your brand.
Yes, so whenever you're in ChurchTrac, well, actually, I guess we should talk about Canva, shouldn't we? And then we'll go into ChurchTrac. So in Canva, we recommend you sign up and use a program called Canva. I think Wes has this logged in so he can show you what we're talking about. The reason we promote Canva, and we don't really promote Canva, we just recommend Canva, I guess is a better way to put it, is because Canva offers their paid subscription for free to nonprofits. So your church can have a Canva account for free and have access to their full suite of tools.
Yeah.
And Canva, just as a quick little summary, is Photoshop for dummies. That's how I put it. Yeah. And I'm one of the dummies, so don't feel like I'm insulting you. I use Canva all the time here at church, or at ChurchTrac, just to design things that we're sharing online. It's an easy to use platform. It makes it really, really easy to customize images and make it look really professional, because Canva is full of templates that you can choose from and then just modify to your needs. And what's really, really great about Canva, the thing that I love the most, is the brand kit.
Yes.
So you can, in Canva, upload your church's logo and every version of that logo. You can even choose like different fonts and also have your color palette loaded into the program. That way it's really easy to apply those different parts of your branding to anything that you create to share online. So that way all of your visual media stays on brand. And that especially is relevant for Church Connect, because you can use Canva to make great looking stuff and then add it to Church Connect in cards and various other little places.
Yeah, and so being able to, and again, we're not in any way affiliated with Canva at all, but we just recommend it to so many churches because it's free for churches as a nonprofit organization. And it's something that it's so easy to create all these templates, because you're going to want to create some really beautiful looking Connect cards, as we talk about that later. You're going to want to be able to have a place where you can just keep all your brand consistent. And this is beyond your website. This is like creating basically any sort of stuff, like printed material at your church, your bulletins. This is for like, maybe you want to generate like beautiful newsletters for your email and stuff. You can do so much with that. That's why we kind of throw it out there. All right, so enough about Canva and stuff and branding. We got all that out of the way. Now let's talk about, beyond that, let's talk about building Church Connect. So back to building our Church Connect. And again, to get here, we have to go to the Church Connect screen in ChurchTrac. And then from here we can start building. And I want to kind of work our way from the top down of building a website. So we go to the page setup. This is where we start building everything out. And as you can see, we have all these cards and everything here, and we can keep scrolling down and eventually to a footer. We're going to start at the very top with our nav bar. So whenever I go to edit our nav bar, I have the option to start editing all these things. And so like Matt, kind of like taking that, Canva thing we were talking about earlier, I can go ahead and drop in my colors using the special hex codes there and stuff. So that way my brand is on point for our church website. You can go ahead, put in your logo and stuff. You can change your nav bar height and stuff like that. So I may go like large for that. And then logo, I've already got a logo that I've actually created for our church. And so I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop my logo in here. And so there it is. Let's drag and drop it. And there we go. Example church. I know it's kind of cheesy, but at least you get the idea. So there. So now I've added that logo in there. And then going beyond this, and this is something like this part you actually probably will end up coming back to as you continue to edit your nav bar. Because your nav bar, it has your logo on the left and everything, but the other thing you have on your nav bar is different links that you want to take people to. And so this can be like a link to give online. This can be a link to connect with us and stuff like that. And so like I'm just going to say connect for one of my links, and then I can choose one of our page cards. And then I can just go ahead and choose like this sample form card, for example. Let's say that was our connection card. I can select that, hit close. And so now it's going to automatically go to that. So I add it, and there we go. So now when I close this, I'll see it refresh, and now I've got that link there. And you can have up to 4 different links on your nav bar. So that is the nav bar, just step 1 of building our website as we work our way from the top down.
Next is the hero section.
The hero section. This is actually a really big one too, Matt, just because the hero is, it's kind of like the first big thing someone sees when they go to our website.
Yeah, it's almost like the front door of the website in a way.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that it's as professional as you want it to be. It sets the tone for the rest of the website and kind of gives a visitor a very, very quick first impression. Because this is the thing that people are really going to see when they first land on your website.
Yeah, and so but I think before I build it, I want to give a couple examples just to kind of get your brains, those wheels spinning in terms of trying to figure out how you want it to look. So like here's a hero section I had made for potential church. And what I've done is I've got kind of our main headline here, finding our potential in Christ to grow his kingdom. That's basically like our church's mission, except just like a slightly shorter version of it. And then just saying a little bit more about our church. Our church is a modern family church located in downtown Jacksonville. Come worship with us. There's a little bit of formula to this, and one of these days we'll probably need to like do an entire live stream, I think, Matt, just on like the psychology of a church website.
Okay.
But like a very popular thing I see a lot of churches do, and this actually is good for your SEO too, is by saying like what type of church you are, a modern family church, where are you located in downtown Jacksonville, because Google will crawl that and then see, oh, this church is located in downtown Jacksonville. So then when people Google search church in downtown Jacksonville,
yes,
your website's going to be one of the first ones to pop up because of this. And then a call to action, hey, come worship with us. And then our button here, plan a visit. And then when people click that, it takes them to our plan a visit page and what to expect and all that good stuff and our location. And then I've got another example here, just random action verb church. Let us know in the chat if you know what reference that is to. This is just another play I made, just having some fun when I was building out these websites to show off to you all, of just a church that was a fake church in Neptune Beach, Florida. And I just love how you can make these heroes, they really catch people's attention. And a big part is just having that solid text in there along with the solid image that kind of portrays your church and your vibe. And so you can see the big differences between, this is a beach town church, and then you've got going back to potential church on their main site, this is a church in downtown that's more of a modern church, and you can see that and everything and the representation.
Perfect.
So let's talk about just kind of building this thing out real quick. So like adding a hero, just click add. And then from here, you can add your content, and we highly recommend, Matt,
using templates. Yes, so click that add content button in that menu at the top, and then select the add template. We've already done the legwork. of making these look really professional and really awesome. All you have to do is just choose whichever one you prefer. And whenever you select it, it'll then add it to that hero section where you can edit that content further. So you just click OK. Boom, there it is. Click on that thing again just to make those changes to the text there. That's where Wes was able to add that, modern church, family church or whatever in Jacksonville to the other website. So that's how you make those changes. Once you're done adding that copy, so there you go. Wes is adding it now. Once you add all that information and click done, you can also customize that button. That's what that little connect with us thing is for. But from here, you can add a background behind all of this text. If you don't already have an image, and honestly, we recommend adding an image of all the smiling faces and the happy people that the guests are gonna see when they first come to visit your church. But even if you don't have that right now, just click that select Igniter media image.
I'll show it again just because I clicked so fast.
Yeah, select an Igniter media image. We have an integration with Igniter Media. And you don't need to create an account with Igniter Media to use this. This is all loaded into the account for you. Just search a keyword based on whatever kind of image you want to add, and then select from the list of options, and it's added into that hero section for you.
Yeah, and so just to kind of, I'm just going to pick this one up here just because it looks cool. And there we go.
Nice. So you can then make some other little customizations to that image, like adding an overlay, which will add like a little darker or lighter tone to it. And then you can even control like how the transparency or opacity of that. So, and that's actually really crucial because it allows the text to stand out from the image. But speaking of which, you can also add a text backdrop. So you can add a little square or block behind the text. Use the translucent dark. Yeah. So that really, really stands out and helps people to see it and not have to strain just to read the copy you've added there.
Yeah, and you can go through and really play around with like, all right, what size text do I want to use and everything? What do I want my call to action to be? And then you can link right to that and choose one of your pages. So if you want to have like visit us or, connect with us, get plugged in, all the different options you have at your disposal, you can start doing that. But that's just real quick, just showing off like how to create a hero section. So we're already, as I view this, like I'll just open up this web page now in another window so we can see it. And this is a good opportunity for me to mention this. You need to publish it. And so our nav bar is there, but I need to publish our hero. And so now that it's published, and this is great because we can start building all this stuff and not actually have it live in our website yet. So now when I hit refresh, now that's going to pop up there, and I'm already just like a third of the way of building this thing.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You've already done a huge amount of the work. Perfect. So once you're done with your hero section, the next thing to think about is what we call the sidekick.
Yeah.
Which it's the call to action, essentially. Just the other little things that you want to direct people toward when visiting your website or your app.
Yeah,
so
and it's not a real term, which is funny. Yeah. Like no one else calls it this. We made it up completely. But like I feel like in a church setting, you really want to have two main call to actions for people, and one being for people that are visiting your church for the very first time, and then the next one being for people that are, call your church their home, but like taking them to the next step. And so that's why, like, whenever I created the call to action for my other church here, like find a group, this was like really urging our people who may already call our church their home, but to get plugged into a small group.
Yeah.
And so you can do that as you create your next section here.
Easy. And again, we have templates for this as well. All those templates you saw earlier can be applied here too.
And so maybe I want to do this one. And then I can use it. I just love the templates, Matt. I feel like most people are just going to appreciate because they save you so much time, and you can quickly just start editing things, put in those links, put in pictures, all that good stuff, and just build a really beautiful website. And so then it can just be get plugged into a small group, whatever.
Perfect. So that's how to create the hero section and also do the sidekick. Well, we also, besides the hero, the next thing to think through is some other pages to add too, like an About Us page or even a Plan a Visit page.
Yes.
Because beyond just adding content to the main landing page, you want people to have places to go to learn more about your church. Because frankly, when people visit a website, usually they're in the market essentially to find a new church.
Yep.
And when they're going to your website, they want to know about your church to see if it's a place that is worth their time to visit.
Yeah.
So you need to give them the information they're looking for, which is information about like service times and also what kind of church this is
Yeah.
and where they need to park and drop their kids off for the children's ministry and all of that.
And I think that's a perfect segue for us to talk about cards, because
Yes.
cards are going to do a lot of the heavy lifting of this sort of stuff. And that big card that Matt had mentioned, the page card, let us know in the chat, like what are different pages that you have on your current website or the pages that you want to put on your new website that you build with Church Connect? Are you wanting to create an About Us page where you share like your mission statement and your vision? Are you wanting to put a staff page where you like introduce people to the staff in your church and like where you're located? Are you wanting to put like a plan your visit page where people can then see more about your church? Like what can they expect when they go to visit your church for the first time? Let me know in the chat kind of some of the things you're thinking through of pages you want to add. So when it comes to adding those pages, we're actually going to do a little backtracking here, because that's kind of where we use cards. Cards in ChurchTrac, they basically are like, if this whole website was a sandwich, your cards are like the meat of it. And just to really kind of reinforce this, I want to go back to here to our main example of potential church. So I've got that hero, I've got the section here, then I've got these cards. So like a get connected, this is a form card. So it takes people to a form. But then I have another card here as I scroll down, plan a visit. If I click that, that actually takes me to another page on my website where people can plan a visit. And so you can leverage these cards for so many things. This watch now, this is actually a link card. And I remember seeing someone in the chat ask about, can we link to like our website and stuff like that? Like, so this link card here, whenever I click that, that actually takes us to a podcast. And I just linked it to Passion City Podcast just for fun. But it's really cool how you can just quickly add in cards. So going back to our builder here, I'm on the card section. I click add a card here. So cards, add a card, and I can just pick all these different cards to start adding stuff. And we already have some cards already put in here just to kind of point that out. And so then you could take in a card that's already existing, like this is our Connect With Us card, and you can start going to town editing this stuff out. Which a big thing, Matt, I feel like is just stressing how you want to make the cards your own and like use your own images that you've either created or stuff that are going to represent your church well and are on brand.
Yes, especially since the images that are pre-uploaded are just stuff that we created as examples. Take a good look at those cards and the images we used in them, and then throw them away.
Yeah, exactly.
They're great, but they're not for you. They're for you specifically, but not for your church. They're for you to just see what you can add here and how it works. Definitely upload images that fit your church's branding, your church's tone and characteristics. That way it's a very consistent experience for guests and members to use your app and your website for your church.
Yeah, and you can see I just dragged and dropped in like a get connected with us for our connection card. And then if I wanted to like start editing others, I can do that. Maybe I want to add like a giving card. Like this is really cool if you're using ChurchTrac online giving, or you can even use a link card for this, to be brutally honest. In fact, let me just show you that. I'll use that as an example. And so we're going to call this our giving card. So just give. And let's say you're using something like Tidely or whatever it may be, you could actually just take the link that Tidely gives you or whatever your online giving provider if you're not using Stripes with our platform. And so then you put in that link, and then I can go ahead and I can edit that card real fast. I can upload an image here because you want to make things very visual. And so then I can put in this image here that I created on Canva. And by the way, our Canva template's going to like do 80% of the work for you. So you leverage our Canva template that we provide in our online user guide. And there you go. So now I've updated that. I've got to give online here. And so if I go back to our website that we've been building right now, so I'll refresh it, you can see things are getting real here. We've got a get connected card. We've got the give online, and obviously you're not going to want to use wild colors like I did there and stuff, but you get the idea. And you can really, really just build a lot of cool stuff. And I think it's worth pointing out, like when we create these cards and everything, so going back to Church Connect, these page cards, these are so important for being able to bring our people into more information. And so like our mission and beliefs page card here, I can go ahead and I can edit that page content, and then you can build it out. Look at this. And so then I can add a hero for this one. So all your different page cards, you can start adding in that content and everything, start adding in everything with the call to actions, different text, utilize our templates. So if I want to go wild and crazy here, kids, maybe this is a meet the staff page. I can start dropping in that stuff. So that's just really quick, like showing how all this works. There is a little, now this is something that once you get it, you'll get it. There is a little bit of overlap here just because we talk about the cards in the website. So the cards in our website making up this sandwich, so to speak, the meat of it right here in the center of our website. Whenever you're editing Church Connect and everything, you're going to be doing all that in the cards area. But just know when you're on the page setup tab, all the page cards you have are going to be available right here. Whenever I click this, I can select whatever page it is that I want to edit, and then I can edit that page. So if I want to go to our sample form card, I can go on here and I can edit that out too. And I may mention it's also form cards too, because form cards is a different page as well. So yeah, you can really, the level of customization, Matt, it's really up to you as a church. Like
Sky's the limit.
You can take it to a level in which you really just edit all these different sections of these cards, and then you can go deeper and start messing around with CSS and everything in Church Connect, because that's another aspect of it.
Some people were asking, like, how far can you take the HTML and the CSS and JavaScript and stuff like that in Church Connect?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I have a good answer. You could take it relatively far, but we do have parameters set in place, and it's just because, at the end of the day, we're not trying to create like WordPress here, and I think many of you will appreciate that, because WordPress can kind of be a bit of a nightmare when you talk about all the plugins and stuff, and then the security. You really got to know what you're doing, but we do give you some customization in the Connect settings. You can go on here and you can change a little bit, obviously, like stuff like the colors and of the buttons, and you can adjust things like how big you want your maximum container to be. Church Connect icon, by the way, we haven't really talked much about the church app, but that's a big part of it. And then also some custom CSS that you can drop in there. There are obviously some limitations. We have Google Analytics. So if you're using your own domain, you can actually put in your Google Analytics ID and everything in there, and that way you can start measuring all the analytics of your church, which is really great.
Yeah.
It's kind of necessary these days. So yeah, there is some customization that I think many of you power users out there are going to appreciate. But at the same time, this is something that's easily accessible for your average church leader that you just want to have a good looking website. And we actually asked the question, and I'll just kind of re-ask it in the chat. We asked whenever you signed up for this live stream, like, hey, describe your church website in 3 words or less. So I want you to just in the chat right now, describe your church website in 3 words or less. So if your website is warm and inviting, or your website is, one person I read there said old and busted, and I was just like, man, someone really likes those Men in Black references.
Well, one person, it's not a Men in Black reference, but one person one time responded, unchanging like Jesus, and that has forever been my favorite response about like description of a church website. So
it's biblical.
It's biblical. That's what makes it so great. Jennifer said, boring. All right. Lucretia, needs some work. Janice, need help now. Nikki, dumpster fire. Kind of sophisticated. Gabriel, okay. Pastor Jermaine Smith, in brainstorming stage. I feel like a lot of churches are kind of in that. A lot of church websites are in that limbo.
Yeah.
It's just sort of under development in a way. Carrie is a beginning. All right. So your church website should just say in the beginning across the top and be done.
Yeah.
All right. So this is going to take your church website to the next level because it is built into the very platform you're using to manage everything else. You're not having to juggle multiple different platforms just to have a church website and an app. And also, we made it as easy as possible. It's just clicking and then dragging and dropping, and that's half the work right there.
Yeah,
it doesn't get any more complicated than that. You don't need to know HTML. You don't need to do CSS to have a great looking church website and app. We've done all that legwork for you. You just have to add the content itself.
All right, now to finish off our building phase of this, because we have a few more things I want to cover, and then I really just want to do Q&A and look at your websites together. The last thing is the footer, and I just want to make mention, like, you can just use like a basic footer when you go to edit that footer and do that, but I would recommend using the custom footer, and all you got to do is just turn that custom footer on. And then by doing that, then you can add a custom footer and you can actually leverage one of our templates, which I highly recommend. And so add content, use a template, and then you can actually just go right to the footer section. We have a few different footers. I recommend all day, every day, and I feel like 99% of churches choose this one, is this one. And the reason why is because it has a Google map on there, has your church address, social media links and all that. So then I can use that one, boom, select it. And then what's really cool is that you put in the address of your church. And so then I can say our church is located at 135, let me put it here, 13551 Lake Newman Street, Jacksonville, Florida. And this is just the location of the mothership here at ChurchTrac. But there you go. It automatically put it in there. You can put in your phone number, social media links.
That's the best.
Yeah, you can put in your social media links. And so I can actually go on here. When I go to edit the footer, I can put in that. So
Click that edit footer button in the top left corner to inject that. We recommend the template that Wes showed with the Google map, simply because by adding that Google map to the footer, you're adding a link to Google Maps across your entire website and app. And Google likes seeing their products on a website, which means that this does have some boost to your church's SEO, to the church website SEO. So it'll actually improve your rankings in a Google search by doing that. So that's why we made that template, first of all, and why we recommend you use it for the footer.
Yeah, if anyone's ever wondering how can I boost my local SEO, like if you're not doing this, this is like one of the #1 ways to do it. All right, so that's building out the website. Now, we could talk much more about it, but we just don't have time. I want to quickly talk about managing and quickly talk about your church website pro tips that we have. And so let's go ahead, let's dive into the management aspect of it. And we're not going to go into great depth, but just kind of like a quick checklist. So back to the top here, let's go through, and this is such an important one. Don't let your site go stale.
Don't let it go stale. This is not a one and done, set it and forget it kind of thing. It's not like a crock pot. You don't just throw in all the ingredients and walk away for several hours. We recommend logging in and making updates. The interval of updates is really up to you, whatever makes sense for you and your church. But don't just add content today and then never touch it again. Make sure that there's new content that you're adding. What's great about Church Connect is we have it linked to all the other features of your ChurchTrac account.
Yes.
Like events. So if you have an upcoming event that people can register for, you can add that as a card in Church Connect. So that there is enough reason to go check out Church Connect on a regular basis to stay up to date with what's going on at your church and to sign up for any upcoming events that are relevant to that member. But also just making sure that you're refreshing things like new small groups that are starting at your church. Make sure you add that to that page, or small, Sunday school classes and stuff like that. So just think through what's new at my church and how can I add that to Church Connect, and that will help keep your Church Connect page fresh.
Yeah. Another one, viewing form responses. And so in Church Connect, like we've been showing the cards tab a lot, we've been showing page setup. The form responses, anytime someone fills out a form, those responses are going to show up here. You can export those to CSV. Also, those form responses, you can have them automatically be emailed to a specific ChurchTrac user. And so definitely recommend viewing those form responses so that way you're acting on prayer requests, acting on people who want to get connected with your church. But the beauty is that you can't have it automatically emailed to you or some other ChurchTrac user, so that way you don't miss them. So you don't have to like log into Church Connect every day to make sure you didn't miss any. You can have it just emailed directly to you, which I love because I'll just get them on my phone. But another one too, like managing Connect users. So like I have no Connect users on this account except this particular one here. But you can go through, and this is just made up stuff that I have here. This is not a real person. But as your people start wanting to become users on Church Connect, they're gonna start showing up here, and that's where you can start giving them the option to have directory access and stuff like that, which we haven't even gone deep into all that. I mean, there's so much going on here with like Connect user settings and like giving people the ability to upload their profile image and stuff like that, which I think this is such a great opportunity for me to show on a phone real fast because I need to. Over half of your website traffic is going to be coming to you on one of these. And so I'm actually got Church Connect pulled up here on my phone. And what's so cool about it is your people can sign in. And so I'm going to sign in as a church member here real fast. And so Ron, sign in. And then as a church member that signed on, obviously like I can see all the stuff going on in here and all my cards and stuff. Oh, Matt's sending me stuff to roast. Okay.
That'll come soon.
All right. Well, so sorry, Mike, I got carried away. Whenever you click the menu here, I just want to point this out because this is accessible to all your people who have logged in. They go to that menu. Depending on what you have enabled for your people, I mean, your people can at any time see the song library. If like you want to have it accessible, just everybody in the worship team, anytime they can go on the app to see the song library, because after all, Church Connect is an app too, which is what I'm using. You can see upcoming events. People can do things like, oh, there's the potluck that's coming up. I click that. Maybe I want to register for that. Well, I can register for the potluck. There you go. What am I going to bring? Like, it's really cool being able to do all that. Your online directory, here's just a fake online directory. These people aren't real. Going beyond that, we've got like online giving. So like, your people have access to so much great stuff in Church Connect, and you really do have such a high level of customization and things that you can accomplish to really connect with your people, hence the name Church Connect. Make sure you manage your Connect users, keep tabs on that, make sure that you're only allowing people that should be in there and stuff. So that is managing Church Connect. I mean, we could dedicate an entire live stream just to that, but we really wanted today just to be more of an overview and stuff. Let's dive into, now that we've covered building and managing, let's talk about just some pro tips, Matt.
Yep.
And I think these pro tips, you and I went back and forth in these, I think these are probably going to be like some solid ones that are going to give people a lot of value.
Yeah, these are the things that like aren't totally necessary, but they take your website from 90% to 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So step one, or tip number one, is leverage your cards, especially page cards. Make sure that you make them very visible. Make sure that they are first when people, like one of the first things that people can find in your Church Connect page.
Yeah.
But also, instead of adding all of your content to that main landing page, which we'll get to, because some of you guys have shared some Church Connect sites that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But make sure that you're using the cards rather than just dumping everything onto the landing page. You can arrange them according to priority. Make sure like the things that you want people to do the most are the first cards on this list. So you can drag and drop and move them around. One thing that I've seen some churches do is indicate priority based on card size.
Yeah.
Like you've made all of the card sizes uniform, which is just visually appealing, but some just make the one thing that they want everyone to do, they make that the biggest one.
Almost a masonry effect, kind of like on Pinterest, you know?
Yeah. So you can kind of explore and see how you can utilize cards in Church Connect.
All right, got another tip here, Matt. Card visibility. Because Church Connect is not just one website, it's two.
It can be two websites.
It's two websites. And let me tell you what I mean by this. So you can actually cater the experience of what cards your people are seeing based on whether or not they're logged in. And so I can go on here and say, hey, maybe like this join a small group card that I have. Let's just say I only want to cater it towards like members because I actually have a different card that's catered more towards like guests to get them plugged in. And so I can go ahead and go to the additional card options, and then I can go in here and say, all right, I actually want this card status displayed when a member is logged in. And so I see a lot of churches do this for like volunteer form cards. I see a lot of churches do this for like our core values of our church, maybe stuff like that, where like these are certain cards that really only need to be displayed to when people are logged in or when they're not logged in. And so highly leverage that feature. And I think as you use it, it's going to give you the opportunity to also simplify your website. So that way your website that people see as guests that aren't logged in is not going to be cluttered with all this other stuff that is really geared more towards your members. I have not seen another platform do this in this way, and I think it's pretty amazing. Tip number 3, Matt, this is a good one.
So tip number 3 is use the hide card feature. By that we mean on that main cards tab, if you click on one of the cards, let's just use Give Online, Wes, as an example.
Yeah.
So if Wes clicks on Give Online and then show additional card options and scroll down, you have the option to choose how this card displays, like we were showing you just a second ago. But you can even set a date. You can actually put like a timer on this card and say that I only want this card to display until this date.
And I have a great example, because why not do it on the fly, because it's so fast to do it. I can go to a registration card, and then I'll just, I can name it later, whatever. But then I can select the event. We have a potluck coming up, and that potluck is on March 1st. And so I can say, I do not want this showing up maybe like one day after March 1st, just so people can see like they missed it or something. But I don't want a potluck on March 1st showing up like, you know,
2
April
3
1st.
months later.
Yeah. So then I can go here to March and I can say, all right, on March 3rd, it's going to disappear. And so that way I don't have my website cluttered with a bunch of old spaghetti dinners from 4 years ago, because that's what I see on church websites, and it kills me. It kills me. So plus this is helpful for you as a leader, because you're doing so many things, you're wearing so many hats. The last thing you're going to do is have to keep remembering like, oh man, did I hide this card? No. As you build it, just make sure the card hides itself. Work smart, not hard. All right, another tip here. Tip 4, keep your landing page highly visual.
Highly visual.
Highly visual. Now, whenever I was building out these ones, like just to kind of show, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so people have a better gist of it. But like, yeah, you don't want like just an insane amount of text on your landing page. Now, if we're talking about you want to dive deeper into learning more about a church and planning a visit, yeah, you can put more text on those. But try to limit the text you put on your landing page, just because people are visual, and especially guests that are maybe looking at your church website initially, like they don't need to know everything just by going to your landing page. If they want to dive deeper, they'll dive deeper. So yeah, that's a good tip. And then Matt, the last tip, which some people need this.
Yes.
Some people need this.
Tip number 5 is sometimes it is best to hire a professional. We have made this as easy as possible. We've made this very simple, but it's possible that you don't have the bandwidth to sit down and develop a whole website from scratch. Or you still, even after watching this, feel like, I just don't know if I have it in the wheelhouse at all.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like you did not step into ministry because you're a great web designer and graphic designer, and so your skills are elsewhere. We offer a service where we will set all of this up for you. We will create a church website and build it for you, and then hand it back to you for you to maintain going forward. And there's 2 tiers to this. There's what we call quick site, which is just a very, very simple setup, and then full site, which includes even some branding. So like you can have us develop a branding package, or at least part of one for you, and then hand it all to you for you to use everywhere else at your church. So which of those options you prefer is up to you, but just reach out to the support team. Check out this user guide article that Wes is showing. Reach out to our support team with any questions that you have, and we'll make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah, and I think the vast majority of people watching today, they're not going to need church sites. But for those of you who, like Matt said, wear a lot of hats, or this is just like, whoo, you're like, that's above my pay grade, this is a great option. All right. Well, Matt, we have covered so much.
Yes.
And obviously,
and there's a lot of questions that I have not been able to answer.
Oh man, we're slammed. And so we're going to have some fun. So people actually said roast it.
There were, I think, 3 times that someone actually requested to roast their site. So go ahead and start making your way through. There's a few other sites that we'll share as well, just to give you all some examples of what to do, what not to do. But we're going to start with the ones that you all requested to roast. So Wes, start with the first one.
All right, so we're going to roast that. Yeah, and we have tons, like we're prepared to stay here as long as it takes to answer questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so for those of you that I haven't answered your question, I'm going to go through some of these and try to answer them, but we'll also have a Q&A at the end, so sit tight.
All right, so this is the first one, Whitney Free Will Baptist Church, and they said roast it, so we're not going to hold anything back. All right, so the first thing I see here is this is a little bit in the harder side to read. Maybe make that a little bigger.
Do you want to be really, really like the hero image is just showing 2 dudes' bellies? So maybe rearrange, like pick a different picture.
Yeah.
We don't. The handshake is obviously the focal point, so maybe either zoom in on that or pick a different picture.
Yeah. I would recommend something different. As I go through.
The About Us and the service times, those are great content, but I recommend either putting those as cards themselves or moving them below the cards rather than making someone have to scroll past it to get to the cards.
Yeah, you want your cards to be more centered. And the other thing too, this is probably why we're going to have to do like a live stream on like the psychology of web design and stuff, but like people are expecting your service times to typically be like on the bottom of your page or like in a separate page, like About Us. Like Meet Our Staff, as I see this, so they have like a learn more. And so when I click to learn more, you know,
to a whole bio. That's great.
I actually really like this approach. Honestly, I could, and it depends on the day. Some days I may look at this and be like, I don't like this approach as much. But as I look at this, like, I see where you're doing with this, and I approve. I think maybe the choice of color, maybe a different color, just slightly different. But then again, if that is with your brand already, then
it is. You can see in the logo it's blue and purple, so that's they're on point.
Yeah, I mean, as far as branding goes, like, it's all on brand, and man, I couldn't ask for anything more, because I've encountered a lot of churches that are like, "What's a brand?" And so y'all obviously being intentional. I don't know if it's Alan or Chris maybe that's built this, or someone else, but man, yeah. I can't really roast it too much, because there's not much to roast. I think y'all have got...
It's a good start. It's a really good start. That's number one. Let's check out the next one, which, let me see who it was. It was Christ Fellowship UMC.
Okay.
So go ahead and hop on that one. You just click on the logo in the top left. So that's actually a really great header image. Welcome home. I love that. I know where you asked us to roast it, but I wanted to at least start with a compliment.
Yeah.
That's a really, really great looking hero section.
All right, now I'm going to roast it.
Go ahead.
Why in the world did you blur out the image?
To make it stand out, Wes. To make the text stand out.
I think blurring out the image is unnecessary. I think you should have the image not blurred out, because it almost, just the way the blur was done, Matt, it almost makes it look like it was like borderline just not a well-taken image. At least, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I would say either blur it out a little more, or just not blur it at all. But I will say this, like, that's really, like, I really like how you all purposefully made the image in which you put in, like, the welcome home here over the image. Like, you actually edited this to do this. I think that's good.
Now, Wes, the thing we need to roast, though, scroll all the way to the bottom. Keep scrolling. What did you not see?
Where are the cards?
Where are the cards, man?
Yeah.
I think Courtney, this was
you got
your...
one.
Yeah,
there
one. You got an upcoming event, a registration card. I think Courtney, I think that's your name. I think that's the one that shared this. Create some cards. Goodness gracious. I know you have some cards technically, because you have other pages. You have links in the link, the nav bar. And you also have buttons linking to everything here. But let's actually have your cards presented on the website, because right now it's just a really long scroll through a lot of information. Cards are great because they allow you to include a lot of information and content in Church Connect without having to put it all front and center on the main web, the landing page. You can kind of break it up essentially and put it elsewhere on your site.
All right, I'm gonna roast this. Why have a picture of, like, the side of your church just like of a parking lot?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what you're trying to convey there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe, I think I know what you're trying to do is, like, show, like, the parking situation maybe, or just, like, what the church looks like so people know whenever they get there. But I would recommend maybe if depending on what you're trying to accomplish here, changing the image up a little bit, or just leveraging a different page altogether for that. Because it kind of, I don't know, I think you could use a different image here, because I really liked what you were doing with this, like meeting some of the leadership. I really like this. Like, talking about, hey, CF Kids Preschool's enrolling, more info. Let me go to that, see if the link works. All right, cool. So they got it on here and everything. And see, like, this I don't, like, using the picture like that, like, I like this. That works great. Yeah, because you're trying to show off the facilities and stuff.
That's great. This page is awesome.
That makes sense and stuff. So, like, I can't really roast much on here other than, just a couple of those things I said. But, yeah. Good stuff.
Next one.
All
so
right.
PIWC, the Church of Pentecost PIWC Peel. This one is very, very, very blue. And I say that may be part of your branding, but what I recommend is toning that down a little bit. Like, the About Us and the Next Steps are softer in tone.
Yeah.
But that blue is really, really dark with high contrast yellow and red. It's actually kind of hard on the eyes in many ways.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, their hero section, I like that image they chose.
Love it.
I think that's a really great image because it's showing people, like, within 2 seconds, I can kind of gather, like, okay, like, I see they've got people they're worshiping or praying, it looks like in this situation here, and I can see, and this is funny, I know, but, like, a lot of people, especially that are guests to a church, one of their big things they wonder is like, how should I dress when I go to this church? Especially if they're not like,
this is a low-key way to show them.
This is so like this. I don't know if they intentionally did this or not with this image, but this is like one of the most perfect ways to show people like, hey, here's what our average person looks like that's attending our church. So that way, if it's someone, that is like, oh, okay, like they're not all wearing suits, so I'll be okay, if I'm not wearing a suit when I go there. Or like, okay, I see everyone there's dressed up in flip-flops and that, like, okay, it's a good beach church, whatever. I like that. But yeah, I will agree with that, Matt. Like this blue there's a lot of blue going on there. And I think there's other colors you can use that will kind of go well with brand still.
Now, one positive to say is that their cards are near the top, and then the rest of the content, like the service times and the map, are at the bottom, which is, again, what we recommend.
Yeah.
So if you're going to add that to the landing page, put it below the cards instead of above the cards, forcing people to scroll a long ways just to get to the content they're really looking for.
Yeah. And this is all, what's cool is like, this is all still going to look really great on a phone and stuff, the way they've done this. I would say maybe make this hero words a little bigger here. And then I would probably leverage like another section, maybe before the cards, a secondary call to action. Like what else is important? Like connect with us is like obviously like the most important thing in this situation for them.
I see a next steps card that in the bottom right.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of making that a card, like you say, add it as a section with a button to that info.
Well, and it's also a different color. So like there's definitely like, I don't know if this was unintentional, but I feel like this was intentional to have these two a completely different color than all the others. So yeah, cool. I like this image though, Matt, because as a person visiting the church, I can know like, okay, what is the dress code of this church? Because that's a big question a lot of people ask. All right.
The next website is mandevillebiblechurch.org. So Wes, why don't you go ahead and pull that up in the text?
And one thing before we leave this, Matt, I will. This one I can roast, right?
Yes. This is a roast. One of the roasts.
All
yes.
Right. The logo is great and everything, except not here. Like I would say you probably want to just have a more generic version of your logo, maybe do away with this part of it. And I know you're like, but that's my logo. People cannot see this. Like they have no idea what this is. Whenever you're looking at this on a cell phone and even on the big screen here, this is so small, it looked like a bullseye to me. And I have to like actually zoom in, and I'm at maximum zoom on my computer and I still can barely tell that that's like the different countries and stuff.
It's Earth with I think a dove above that within 3 circles. So
I'm like about to get up out of my seat to like walk over to the monitor to see it. So I would honestly in this situation I would as much as it's probably going to be painful for you to do this, I would eliminate this part and just utilize this part right here. Yeah.
All right, so Aaron Calloway is the one who shared mandevillebiblechurch.org. So Wes, why don't you go ahead and open up that website?
Maybe we need to do a live stream, Matt, where we just roast people's websites, and that would be fun.
So this is an example of something that I see a lot in Church Connect. Go for a scroll, Wes.
Go for a scroll.
Keep scrolling. Beautiful church building, by the way.
That is, man, that's the kind of church we want to get married in, Matt.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling.
I would get married again for that. Yeah.
Keep scrolling. There's so much on that landing page, and people have to scroll forever just to get to the cards.
Yeah.
Again, the cards are the meat and potatoes of your Church Connect site. You don't want people to have to search a long time just to finally get to the main thing. I know a lot of that information is really important and super relevant, but you need to maybe prioritize that a little differently. Either move that to its own page and add it as a page card or link to it in the nav bar, or move it below the cards. But certainly try to figure out what actually needs to be on the landing page and what doesn't. Like that map and the Meet the Pastor. The Meet the Pastor thing is probably a little too prominent. Just add add that to the About Us page or like a Meet the Staff page and direct people there through a card or a button in the nav bar. But don't just have it right there in the middle of the main landing page. You need to give people quick access to the content that they actually are looking for in Church Connect.
All right, cool. But I mean, it just comes back to like some of the ones we've looked at, even though there's a lot of room for improvement and stuff. Number one, this is better than not having a website at all from what we've seen. And number two, we're seeing a lot of good intentionality with these leaders as they built their sites and thinking through it.
The branding is really good. I mean, the green tone across the entire thing.
Although I will say this,
You need a
PNG.
PNG with a transparent background.
You got to use a PNG, and then you'll probably want to change up the color of your PNG to where maybe your PNG image is just going to be like
it's all white
or
all black.
Yeah.
Or keep it those colors and change the color of the nav bar so it's not green.
Yeah, that's a big one there. Why not have a call to action somewhere up here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm such a big proponent of this, and it's not just me. It's just like when you look at any church website builder worth its salt these days, they all like place an emphasis in having a call to action somewhere in that hero section. I want to see, all right, so they're at least talking about here and so they got the town and everything. Good. So that helps with your local SEO. Get that Google map in there, man. We need that Google map in that footer so that way you can, now this does help too though, but the Google map will give you even more value, and then you could probably just eliminate this whole section thing and then just put it like on visit our church, and then you have this map there. So anywho, all right. Any more to roast, or are we just going to look at another normal one, Matt? What are we doing?
Let's do one more, the next one. It's dunedinassembly.com. This is an example of one that's done really well. This hero image, awesome. This is one of the best hero images I've ever seen on a Connect page, to be perfectly honest. And if you scroll down, there's something that I actually really like about this site, is that they made the cards a little bit wider. So like the card section, they actually you can expand the width of the card section.
Let's show that real quick on Church Connect so people can see that.
Yes.
So that's going to be on the options Connect settings.
I think is it card settings or card? I think it's card options.
I always forget. Yeah, it's right here. And so you can actually change like the spacing of the card with the card gutter size, minimum card width, and then I believe you know what, Matt? It may not be living here. It's maybe on the other area. I'm forgetting now just because we have so many options.
The reason why it's wider is because they made the cards a little bit smaller, so it allowed them to have 4 cards side by side rather than just 3. Because they have 4 cards across the screen instead of 3.
There it is. All right, the maximum container size for larger screens. They also played with this, and they made that bigger too. So that was part of it. But yeah, back to their website here.
But it makes it take up more real estate on the screen. Yeah. I honestly really like this.
On a desktop device. Now, bear in mind, depending on what stat you read, it's like anywhere from 60 to 65% of people that go to your website, they're doing so from a cell phone. But for those people who are not, I mean, this just...
Well, we made Church Connect to be responsive to whatever screen size. So they can make their cards do this for a desktop.
And it won't matter because...
On a smartphone, they'll just be in single column instead of 3 or 4, no matter what. So I am really, really impressed with this Connect site. I love the logo there at the bottom.
All right, so I just got to say this. I really like their footer a lot.
I love their footer.
Yeah.
I have no pointers. I have no advice for your site. Yours looks great.
One of David says, I know this church. So he must have lived near this church. That's cool. And like
it's in Tampa, Clearwater. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things. Like we were talking about putting a Google map in your footer and stuff, but at the same time, I think this is a prime example for us to just really mention, Matt, that like. At the end of the day, we can say all these things and, here in a live stream of like what we think. We can put things on a user guide. When it comes to building a church website, it's really kind of an art. It's not a science.
Yeah.
And we don't know their
everything.
Church. We don't know everything, that's for sure. More I read God's word each and every day, God reminds me of that. But like, your church. Like how to communicate with your church better than some guy, in the other side of the state or the other side of the country, this guy knows. And so when you look at building your website, you're thinking to yourself, hey, like, what is it that really needs to be on our site to actually reach my current members and reach our community? And that's what you need to do. And so, you can have professionals come to you and say you should do this, that, and everything else. But at the end of the day, you need to pray about, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with your church website? And so whenever I look at something just as simple as they decided to put their mission statement on their footer in the bottom left, it's because their mission statement is really important to them, and they want to use every opportunity they can to impress that mission statement, not only on the people that go to that church, but the people that are looking at possibly visiting. So I just like that. That's cool. All right. So any more?
No, that was it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's all we have time to roast and look at.
Roast?
Now I think we need to set aside time for the Q&A because there are so many questions that I didn't get a chance to cover.
Yeah, so because how many people are in here right now?
We have 87 people watching. So if you asked a question and I didn't answer it in the chat, go ahead and copy it, paste it, or just retype it into the chat, and we'll make sure that we knock those out today. I apologize that we didn't get to it earlier, but we're going to make sure that you're taken care of by the end of this.
Well, and that's part of the reason we limited this.
Didn't have 300 or 400. Yeah, we don't. This is why we didn't have 300 or 400, of you watching at once. We limited the size so that you all had the chance to ask your questions. While you're typing or thinking through or copying and pasting your questions, I want to remind everybody we have a YouTube channel that we would love for you to subscribe to. That YouTube channel has almost 300 videos. These are how-to videos. These are past webinars and live streams like this one that we focus on a specific feature of your ChurchTrac account, and some other really fun content that we've been working on and throwing out there for you. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's a great resource to learn how to use your ChurchTrac account. Also, we have a Facebook group. This is a private group of other ChurchTrac users from all over the world. They would love to help you with any questions that you have, whether it be about ChurchTrac or even just about ministry in general. We see people asking questions about other software platforms or even just how to handle certain situations in ministry. We would love for you to join that group and be a part of a really awesome community of other ChurchTrac users.
And that's such a great place to see other people's websites for sure.
Yes. So people have worked really hard on their Church Connect page, as you know, because you've worked hard on yours. And they love it whenever anyone goes into the group and asks, hey, can you all please just share a link to your Connect page? That's like the most responded to question and prompt in Church Connect on a consistent basis. People love showing it off. So if you need some inspiration or advice, go to the Facebook group and ask there for Church Connect links.
All right, Matt, where should we start? There's so many questions. There's a lot. This is good.
Yes.
We're gonna dig deep into this stuff and help you all today.
So let me scroll back just a little bit because goodness gracious, do we have so many. Pastor Jermaine Smith asked this earlier, how to get the app via your phone. This is a progressive web app, not a native app. So you go to the URL or scan the QR code we give you for your Connect page, and then it can be added to your home screen there.
Yeah.
And then that's just how you get it downloaded onto your phone. Currently, yeah. I was eyeing Wes.
No, we're not going to say.
Are we allowed to say anything yet?
No.
We can't say anything yet. Okay. Zara, there is an app that was shown where we can log in with our ChurchTrac credentials. How can we access this? No, you don't log in to ChurchTrac via the app. That's just for Church Connect. But you can use ChurchTrac on mobile. You just go to churchtrac.com and log in like you would on your desktop browser.
Yeah.
Let's see here. When I follow these Connect site leads, I'm getting redirected to sign in. Can that be turned off? Oh yeah. So sometimes, it'll direct to the login. Anyway, Gary, can you add? This was asked several times.
All right, I have a great answer.
Can you add a video in the hero image?
So we purposely, when we were coding this and designing Church Connect, we actually had an all-out yelling contest. Well, not yelling, but we're going back and forth about this because this was a hot trend probably 6 years ago. Started big time, maybe a little longer ago, where churches would put videos and stuff that would show kind of like a montage of everything going on. Here's the problem with videos, and this is part of the reason we don't do this in Church Connect at this time. Is because videos wreck your site speed, wreck it. And whenever you wreck your site speed, what else do you think that wrecks? What do you think, Matt?
Your SEO.
It wrecks your SEO. That's one of the most important indicators to Google of whether or not they're going to recommend your site on Google search. And so unless you really, really know what you're doing with optimizing video and stuff and doing it properly, you can annihilate your SEO of your church website by making it too slow. In fact, you want your website to open in less than 5 seconds. And if you got a monster video on there that's showing off people getting baptized and worship and all that, which is great and it's awesome, but it can wreck and so that's why we have not added that as a functionality in there. Now here's the deal. We didn't do it because we're we know better than you, and that's why we're not going to give you this functionality. No, we are willing to add things if we get a lot of people like that are requesting it and stuff. And I think this is a great opportunity for me to encourage you. Like if there are any features in Church Connect or ChurchTrac for that matter, where you're like, hey, this feature would really be helpful for us, and tell us why and stuff. We look at every single feature request. And so when you're in the software itself, we have this little feedback thing in the bottom left. I want to show that y'all real fast. So the bottom left of ChurchTrac, we have this feedback button. Please click it, use it anytime. Now, definitely don't use this for support. Create a support ticket when you need help. But yeah, if you have like a feature request, leave us a feature request. Let us know, hey, I love this, but it would be really cool if it did this. Leave us a 5-star rating, or if you really don't like us, leave us a 1 and tell us why. But yeah, this really helps us, because after all, we build ChurchTrac and Church Connect for you. We don't build it for us. We build it for you and your church and your people. And so anytime you can give us feedback, we love it, because it helps us make this thing better. But yeah, long answer. I'm sorry. I just really went to town on that one. But I wanted everyone to know the why behind that, and not just like, no, it doesn't do it.
Yeah. So Mary asked, where can I find the link to the Canva templates? I dropped a link in the chat. So that's my answer. The link is in the chat right now to the templates that Wes was showing, or at least talking about in Canva for the Connect cards. And
you can actually even just get there, go into our support page. If you just search Canva, I think we put it in there, like Canva, there it is, Canva for Churches, a guide. We have a whole guide. There you are, Matt. Matt, you're showing people how to use Canva. And yeah, we've got the templates on there where you can download them right here. Download the template.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for asking, Mary. Can you create a specific app for my church? Well, Gary, we will design your church website and app. That's the church site service that I talked about earlier and Wes was showing on the screen.
Yep.
So reach out to us. We'll make sure that that's taken care of. And again, that's just developing your Connect site, and that is the app. And when it comes to having an actual app in the App Store, I'll just right now say stay tuned. That's kind of what Wes and I were being coy about earlier.
Yeah.
Zara asked, what would that Church Connect app be, or is it the same thing as bookmarking ChurchTrac to our phones? Yes, that's essentially the process. That's how you get a progressive web app onto your phone. You just go to the website, add it to the home screen of your church from within the what would you call it? Just the menu in your browser, your phone browser. Mary, you asked earlier, if my church develops its own site but needs help with maintenance, does ChurchTrac provide help with maintenance? Yeah, it's called reaching out to the support team. Really, what was it? There was somebody that asked something else kind of recently.
Now, we're not going to just maintain your site every month and go on and do that. That's just not what we're going to do.
Pastor Chris, you asked, thank you for the no bellies comment. I laughed. Do y'all do individual roasting so we can make our sites better? Well, Mary and Chris, the answer is schedule a phone call with our support team.
We would totally do that. Yes.
They would love to look at your website, poke fun, offer advice, and just make sure you're set up for success with your website. And again, and to Mary, we don't do the actual updating of your website, but call us or reach out to us and schedule a phone call. Send us a support ticket. We would love to look at your website and offer pointers and give you advice and just help you make that website exactly what you need it to be.
Yeah. And we're obviously not going to give, advice that's unsolicited, because some people say that unsolicited advice is only worth whatever. But if you genuinely would like our opinion on some things, and it's not even necessarily our opinion, it's more so just what we see in the industry, what we see that works, what we see that doesn't work. A big part of this cool thing, this job that we have, Matt, is because we get to see the inside, not just of one church, because most of you see what's going on in your church, just your church. We get to see what's happening inside thousands of churches and how they operate. We get to see what works well. We get to see what doesn't work well. And so we try to take that knowledge that we get from all of you that graciously give us this knowledge to try to impart it on other churches to help other churches. Mm-hmm. And so, I can't wait to start roasting some sites. You're going to get a lot of emails, people wanting to roast their website after today.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. Angela, you asked this earlier. Is there a way to have two different hero views? Ours looks great on the desktop version, but not so much on the mobile version. The key is choosing an image that has a 16:9 aspect ratio. Because that's what is able to scale to size very easily without a lot of cropping and clipping off of parts of that image. So make sure that the image is a 16:9 ratio, and it should work just fine. Let's see. Is there a way to edit the give/sign-in page? No. No. Courtney, okay, you were seconding Tiffany's question. Yeah, no. That's just is what it is. If you have any questions about that, reach out to the support team. We'll make sure you can guide people where you want them to go in Church Connect.
And that could be a feature request thing too. I want to stress, just because 2 churches ask for something doesn't mean we can implement it.
Yeah.
We have to have, a lot of churches bringing a really good, valid point to us for us to be able to consider it, just because we serve thousands of churches. But if we get enough churches saying hey, it'd be really cool if Church Connect had this, then we're going to look at that because we want to build it for you.
Courtney, you asked this earlier, and this ties into a different feature of our site. Our church has a day school, and we want to link to the parent handbook from the web page. Right now, it's a button going to a Google Drive link. Can ChurchTrac host documents like that, or do I need to route out to a file host site? Well, yeah, you get file storage with your ChurchTrac account. Wes can even show you.
Yeah, I would so here's what you would do in this situation. You would go to your file storage in settings on ChurchTrac, go to file storage, and then whenever you have a file, or a folder for that matter, you can actually go on here and you can, I'm going back to the wrong part here. I need to select something here. It's been a hot minute since I've looked at this feature, Matt, but you can make files shareable, and you can actually have that file, the URL for it.
Yeah.
So you would take the URL from that file, then go back to Church Connect onto that, back to Church Connect, and then you create something like a page card that links to that file. So that way you can keep all your files in ChurchTrac and have them there accessible by your people, and then you just link to them. Yeah.
Perfect. That's all the questions. There were probably a few other questions. Oh, Edna just asked, can I make email links from the addresses on the staff page? Well, yeah. On the staff page, you can add, it depends on exactly how you've created that staff page. I know if you use a gallery card, I think you can link to stuff within the text of the bio underneath the gallery, that image.
Yeah.
So you should be able to link to, an email to contact that staff person. Reach out to the support team in a ticket so that we can give you the instructions. It would be too much to illustrate in a webinar. We wouldn't have enough time to do that. But reach out to the support team and we'll make sure you're taken care of.
Matt, can you get so we are doing a live stream next week on cybersecurity. And this is a big one. We're actually about to come out with the feature in any hour, actually. It may launch later today. It may launch tomorrow. And it's regarding security. And we're going to be talking a lot about security next week. We'll be sending out an email about it. But join our cybersecurity live stream that's happening next week, next Tuesday at 2 p.m. and that's Eastern Standard Time. And Matt just put the link in there where you can join that and register for it. But yeah, we'll be sending a big email out about that. We're going to be talking about some things that directly impact Church Connect and websites in general, and just talk about some common practices and stuff. And the reason I mentioned that too is because I saw someone, Edna was talking about putting email links and stuff, because we're going to talk about, just some practices to help protect you and your staff, not putting your phone numbers on there, to where they're easily able to be scraped for data harvesting and stuff. We're going to talk about securing your member directory. ChurchTrac has a very secure member directory, but at the same time, we want to encourage you to not just let anybody create a Church Connect account, because they can have access to that member directory if you turn it on for them. And so we're going to be talking about some of that stuff. Really, this might just be the most important live stream I think we've ever done, just because so many churches, they're not up to par with cybersecurity.
Yeah, not at all.
Number one, because we didn't go to school for cybersecurity. You go to school to become a pastor and learn theology. But the other thing too is they're too busy in the ministry to be able to get deep into this stuff, which we get deep into just because it's part of what we do here at ChurchTrac as we help you build the body of Christ. So I encourage you, join that live stream if you can. We'll definitely be posting a repost of that live stream later on YouTube and stuff. But that's going to be a really good one. And we'll have a Q&A too for that one. And we're actually bringing in our head of cybersecurity and development and everything for that.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
Yeah, Brian's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Brian's coming in on that one.
I thought I was going to be in it.
I booted you out because unlike us, Brian actually knows this stuff to a level that we keep up to this, but like Brian is woo, and
he's in it.
he's gonna really bring some insightful stuff that I think is gonna be really good for all of us. So.
Mark asked, what's the storage limit for file storage? Can you buy more storage? Yes. The answer to both is yes. The free storage is up to 10 gigs. And then after that, I think it's really, really cheap.
It's affordable. Yeah, just ask our support team and they'll let you know.
So Bill asked this question, Courtney echoed it. 4 nav bar choices is not enough for us. Is there a way to either expand to a second row or have a hamburger / flyout menu? And Courtney, you kind of answered the question. The cards are really emphasized as the solution for this.
Yeah.
But she says, but I think people are drawn to search the nav bar first. Yes, the cards are the solution to that. We limited the nav bar just because we've seen churches will have an entire, like across the entire top of their website is a whole list of different drop-down menus. That's actually more confusing than just having the right information on the landing page itself in the form of cards. It takes a while for people to find exactly where they need to go by clicking through different drop-down menus. It's honestly much easier for people to navigate to have just 3 or 4 key things at the top and then have the rest of it in cards.
This is, all right, so kind of like the video thing we were talking about earlier, in which we were going back and having yelling contests about whether or not we should add things on the functionalities.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about this. The conversations we talk about at nauseum are kind of funny. It's like we talked about nav bars for an hour. But no, we're trying to determine, like, did we want to give people the ability to do exactly what Courtney's asking? Mm-hmm. And we kind of kept coming back to, like, what's in current web design, like, what are the trends? And we're seeing the trends for not only churches, but just most websites in general are running away from that, in the same way that most church websites are now running away from the whole video thing because they just now have realized it drastically affects their SEO terribly and makes their website slow. With the nav bar thing and having just a plethora of links, it just causes confusion for church people.
Yeah.
And then, like, people then struggle to navigate where to go, and then they start thinking, well, what I'm looking for is not on the nav bar, so it must not be here, when actually it's way down on their website somewhere else. And so it's kind of like almost like we kind of thought through initially when we came out this core update for Church Connect. Let's make it limited to 4, and let's see how churches feel about that. Again, like, we're always taking feedback, and so if we get a lot of churches that are like, hey, this is something we really, really need, and here's why, like, we're gonna consider stuff. Like, we don't like put limitations on our software just because we're like, ooh, let's limit them. No, like, we try to find this healthy balance of not giving people so many options they lose their minds, but also like giving people enough customization so they feel like they're not limited. They don't feel like they're in some walled garden. And that's a hard thing to do, Matt.
Yes.
When you serve over 12,000 churches like us, like, you're trying to make a program that's powerful but also accessible. And so that way, someone who knows nothing about church software and building websites can easily navigate it. In the same way, someone like you or myself that would consider themselves a power user, wants to do things. And that's always a constant struggle. We're going back and forth, figuring out how can we do this, easily, but also give people a lot of power too.
Yep. Well, I think that's a good note to end this on. Again, please join our Facebook group and our YouTube channels. I'll drop the links into the chat for both of those things again, just one more time, just to make sure that you all have it. I really hope that you all learned something from this and are able to hit the ground running with your Church Connect site and make it something really awesome that welcomes visitors and blesses your members and helps build the body of Christ. Have a blessed day.